Right. Welcome everyone to Rekt Markets. Let me this is the first time I'm doing a stream like this, so let me just make sure this is all working. I think I'm massively delayed from all you guys, but give me a heads up to say you can hear me or see me or hear the sound or anything. I don't know. I'll need to figure out the delay on these streams because it's massively delayed, but we'll roll with it. So I know everyone's probably sitting there thinking, what the fuck is going on here? What are we cooking? We've been speaking about it for the past few weeks, and run your hand through your hair so you see the delay. There you go. That's the delay. It's a good few seconds. All right, let me get back to speaking about Rekt Markets, what it is that we're doing, what the idea is behind it. Like I said, I think it's potentially controversial. I don't know. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I think if we sat there doing the same thing over and over again, I don't think we would be successful. So sometimes there comes a call to change things up, I think, and that's what we're going for now. So what the fuck is Rekt Markets? Well, let's set the scene a little bit, right? Let me start by actually saying I'm really bullish on crypto over the next 18 months. I think you've probably started to see signs of it on the timeline. People who've previously been bearish now turning bullish. We're seeing certain coins run up to hundreds of millions of dollars market cap. We haven't seen that in a long time. So these are all signs that really reminds me of 2023. You know, we're still sort of in this like bear market zone. We've kind of come towards the end of massive price declines, and Bitcoin just hasn't done anything for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then you start to see some other coins run up. You know, we had Pepe run up in 2023. You had stuff like Bonk and the Solana ecosystem rally towards the end of that year as well. And, you know, there's been similar types of price action right now. And if we're overlaying that 2023 fractal, it doesn't mean that we're going to snap back to all-time highs this year or next week or whatever it is. But it does show that the wind is changing, and these are the best times to be involved and to stay locked in, so to speak, right? Because this is how you catch these early opportunities, not by just waiting until the bull market's here and then, you know, by definition, you're coming in buying stuff at the highs, basically. So that's where I think we are right now in crypto. And the main goal for me is to make sure that Rekt Coin and the entire Rekt ecosystem is a part of that going forward. So that's what we've been speaking about on all our weekly calls, etc. And I think the main thing is you need to give people a reason to want to continue to hold. You need to give people a reason to want to buy. And with each cycle, stuff changes, right? The different narratives change, mentalities change, people's risk appetites change, all these sorts of things change. And I think for us, the brand coin and the CPG narrative was super strong last year, like very strong for us last year. But attention span in crypto is small, right? You guys know this. And I think people need to get excited by new things each cycle to keep wanting to speculate and keep wanting to be a part of whatever ecosystem it is that they're spending most of the time in. So it's really hard to maintain attention. It's really hard to gain attention. And I think if we stuck with the same story that we have for the rest of this year and next year, I think we would struggle to keep that attention, and we would fall into this bucket of coins where it's like, okay, you know, these projects are still working and doing stuff, but they're not doing anything exciting or different. I'm being told the volume's quite low, so let me try and knock this up a little bit. Hopefully this is better. I will work to get these streams perfected as we keep going, but hopefully this volume's a little bit better for you guys. Let me know if not. Um, where was I? So yeah, so I think we need to find a way to maintain that attention, basically. So I sat down with Tabs and we asked ourselves, um, how do we maintain that attention? How do we actually prepare for the next big run up? And what can we do to keep growing Rekt, but not just randomly pivoting to a new thing? You know what I mean? Like, I think if we did one thing, then did another thing, then did another thing, then everyone starts to get confused, and it's like, well, what am I holding, or what am I, I don't really get what the direction is here. And I think we've seen many projects in crypto out there who, where they've basically just done different things all the whole time. There's no strong message that is pushed towards people who are in the community and people who are potential buyers into that ecosystem. So I don't know how many new listeners we have today, and I'm guessing we have more than we usually do on our weekly calls, but just to, just in case anyone's out of touch with the development of Rekt Drinks, we started out, in terms of product, we started out with just sparkling waters, but we've since moved towards products in the energy and the focus category, so functional products, basically. So, we've got these drinks here, the energy drinks. We've got Rekt energy and focus powders here as well, and the idea for this is like, okay, these are things that you would actually want to consume for a specific function, which in many of our cases is sitting at our desks all day long, trading, doing AI, whatever it is. The idea is it's to give you energy and focus for doing that. And, we Tabs and I kind of created these products for ourselves because we consume these, this type of stuff now, and it's effective. So if you haven't tried any of this stuff out, by the way, you can buy it on Rekt.com. You can use the discount code MKTS20 for 20% off, or if you're in the US, you can also buy it on Amazon Prime for next day delivery as well. We'll have the drinks up there soon. But we spent I just wanted to intro what the actual product is, and we spent the last couple of years figuring out how to manufacture the stuff, right? How to distribute it. To build a company which manufactures physical products, there are so many startup hurdles, and we've had zero experience in CPG, right? So all sorts of things from, how do we design the labels to be compliant? How do we manufacture the labels? How do we get the cans? Where do we get the tubs? How do we get the right ingredients? How do we put them all together? How do we then store them, distribute them? All these things have been growing pains for us that I think over the last 2 years, we've kind of now figured out how to do. We've figured out how to get the right runs of inventory. And I think we're now at a point where we have a really good product. Like the sparkling water was great, but I think it's hard to find a good product market fit for it. But I think with this stuff, especially these energy drinks and powders, it's a really, really good product. And you can even check out the reviews on Amazon from normal people, which are all very strong. And our audience, the way that I view our audience or our main consumer base is it's people who are terminally online, right? Like, obviously part of that is a very big crypto crowd, but it's also people who trade stocks. It's people who spend a lot of time experimenting with AI. It's people who are just at their desks, which is most of us in our community. And you're just doing things, right? Maybe you're gambling as well. Maybe you're in prediction markets, whatever it is. Like it's all the stuff that a DGen would do, who is generally terminally online. That's the exact demographic of someone who consumes these types of products. And that's why we created it and why we built it. So, how do we get this product, which is good and which has strong reviews and a strong reception to people within our community, starting to break outside of our community through our channels, through retail, through Amazon? How do we get that in front of more people, right? And I think naturally, look, if you're a pure play CPG brand, so let's just say you're a CPG brand, you do nothing else other than manufacture CPG products, you go out there and you sell them. Once you hit a certain level, what you'll typically do is go out there with paid marketing, paid sponsorships of content where you think you have a target audience, right? People who spend a lot of time in the demographic you're looking for. So, let's say you have whatever, an electrolytes product, you may target people who play sports, whatever it is, right? And then it's like, okay, now let's go out there and get a few sports influencers and pay them all a monthly retainer and then get them to shill the product. That's generally how a pure play CPG brand would do it. And the goal and the hope is you get sales off the back of that. So we looked at doing that, right? And we've identified, and we can see this through our data from sales, that most of our consumer base is, lo and behold, obviously our community, but people who are generally within crypto, people who are generally spending time online doing these things that I spoke about, trading stocks, doing AI. And we're like, okay, cool. Now we're at the stage where we have to spend on marketing. Let's start sponsoring some of these influencers and some of these streamers and some of these guys. But, it turns out the costs don't really add up, right? Especially in crypto. Everything in crypto is super, super expensive to do, expensive to sponsor. And I just don't think we would get the ROI on that we would need or expect to get in order to get this stuff moving. So it then got us thinking, what got us here in the first place, right? What got me to where I am? What got Mando to where he is? What got Tabs to where he is? What got Rekt to where it is? And in terms of our profiles and our audience, it really was the content we actually used to create, which got us here, I think, whether it was posting about trades, ideas, the artwork that I created for Rekt, the streams that we did. And for me, like, all of that stuff stopped, right? When we started building Rekt, I had to spend all this time on just company stuff, which is very behind the scenes stuff. That's one of the reasons why we started the Rekt Weeklies, to be a bit more in front of the scenes. But a lot of it is behind the scenes stuff, which is, I think, still needed and was needed. And I still would do things the same way if I could go back, because at the end of the day, you need to get a real company set up and started. But it means you have fewer touch points. I felt like I have fewer touch points with our community and with the wider crypto audience, where you start to lose a bit of relevance, right? And whether we like it or not, a lot of this brand is tied to the stuff that I do, it's tied to the stuff that Mando does, it's tied to, there's various different like pillars of Rekt, right? So it's important to keep the entire thing relevant. Otherwise, you get to a situation where you get another bull market, we lose relevancy, and then, people just don't really want to bother or care about Rekt. So I just feel like we haven't used a key edge that we actually have the ability to do in-house, that people will pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for, which is creating content or finding the content to sponsor. So look, Rekt isn't a pure play CPG brand, right? We have the Rekt Guy NFTs, we have Rekt Drinks, the company is called Rekt Brands. And I think our power is actually in the fact that we have all these different facets within Rekt, and what we need to do is coordinate them a little bit better to make the overall story a lot stronger. So, all the content we were looking to sponsor and get the Rekt brand out there, etc., we actually have the ability to produce these ourselves, right? And we stopped. It's what we used to do all the time, naturally, very organically, and we stopped doing that to focus on just the behind-the-scenes aspect of building a company. But we're at a stage now where we've done all that. We've got the processes in place. We've got the rails in motion, and we now have the ability, I think, to create that stuff ourselves. Go back to creating that stuff ourselves, produce it all in house. So we're not just going to be this like pure play CPG brand that owns one element of the brand, or that just has one element of the brand. We can just own the entire thing down vertically, which is producing the product, developing and marketing the brand, and now actually distributing the product and the brand through the content that we create. So actually own the content that we have, rather than paying other people to sponsor the content. And I'm not saying we'll never do sponsorships, because we have to grow. And I hope we get to a stage where we have the budget to do that more aggressively and cast our net a lot wider. But I think it's a missed trick for us to not start owning the content that we have in a space which is very content driven, in a space where we have, myself and Mando have a proven track record of doing well on that front, and for something that is actually part of the roots and the DNA of the birth of the brand in the first place. So the idea is doing that again will create a massive funnel for our Rekt products. We need to give people a reason to log into Rekt every day. That's what I've been saying on the last few streams. We need to give people a reason to log into Rekt every day when they feel a part of the brand and part of the community. That's when I think it converts into product, right? Like most of you guys here who are buying these products and who've been on these streams every week, sure, like I'm sure you like the product. You wouldn't buy it if you didn't, but part of it is expression of your belief in the brand, right? That's why you want to be involved. And I think growing the community, growing our base of people who are getting involved in the Rekt ecosystem will then convert into into more sales and into our growth. And that's the main idea for it. Let's create and own a new funnel for Rekt that we haven't really been using or haven't done or haven't tapped into really for the last 2 years now, I would say. And look, when you're part of a brand or part of a community or part of an ecosystem, naturally you always feel better off buying something that you're invested in, whether that's financial or emotional. You know what I mean? If you can replace existing products you buy from other brands that you don't really have a great affinity to one that you do, and to one that you actually have a stake in, that's a no-brainer. That's always what you're going to do. So that's one of the main ideas. So look, the concept for Rekt Markets is let's start creating trading content again, where we know we have a proven track record in building a following and growing an audience. And let's use that audience to scale our Rekt Energy and Focus products even further, because that is the exact target audience where most of our sales come from, specifically according to our data, which we have access to, basically. So look, we're going to go from just a weekly live stream as our only touch point with the community to a daily stream every weekday. So I'm going to do this every weekday, same time every week, every day, 4 p.m. Which is summertime, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think it's 8 a.m. Pacific Time. And we're going to have a website that runs 24/7 alongside it, and completely reigniting our Discord to become more of a trading hub, right? We have 15,000 members in our Discord and only about 30 to 40 people who are actually active in it. I'm sure that's like classic bear market vibes and stuff. That's always the way it is in bear markets, but that number can easily 10x. I think 15,000 people is a lot, and I don't know how many of them are bots, how many of them are real people, but they're in there. They've been in there for a long time, and I think we can very easily 10x the activity on Discord, and that will make it feel more like a community, or make it feel more like a reason to log into Rekt every day, right? Like stuff's going to be going on Discord. It has to be active. It's been active in the past, right? It's been very, very active in the past, and there's no reason why we can't get it back there. We just need to get all these pieces together to make that happen. So you get the idea. Hopefully now you understand this idea that I'm speaking about with regard to content creation. Like, again, I want to reemphasize that this is not a pivot away from Rekt Drinks or CPG or anything like that. All that stuff is going to continue. We have more new products coming out. We have more new collaborations coming out. That stuff continues. But this is a reboot of an existing pillar in our brand, which is content and community, which I think we slacked on. I mean, slack is the wrong word, but which I think we've not done well at as we have done in the past. And that will allow us to market and push the Rekt products even more than we have done right now, but most importantly, in the most organic way possible, right? Because everything we're doing and everything we're producing and talking about is Rekt related. It's about Rekt. And it's like, hey, like, you love Rekt, go, buy a Rekt hoodie, or hey, why don't you get this energy and focus powder to help you stay up, etc. So that's the whole idea of it. I know a couple of people have asked, is this the reboot of the DJs app? It's not a reboot of the DJs app at all in any way. And I'm going to go through, let me go through now actually what Rekt Markets actually is. So let's see, 1 second if I can get this up and working. Right, so our Discord in the past, by the way, for anyone who's forgotten, back in the bull market days, was actually an amazing place to discover trades, right? I still remember someone shilled Pepe in a Discord at $1 million market cap, and I think that's why I ended up buying it at like a $9 million market cap. And that was like one of my, I think, the first trade that I made a lot of money on at the beginning of that bull market, which allowed me to then trade other stuff. You know, Pine DGen, if you guys remember him, he's now banned from the Discord, but he made like 500K on MF a coin. We should maybe unban him and invite him back now. But like, it used to be a very, very good trading hub, a very good source of alpha. I used to post a lot in it about all the stuff that I was doing, and it all kind of stopped, right? It all kind of stopped. Again, bear market vibes, but we also kind of shifted away from doing that stuff to other stuff. So, look, I think degenning on stuff is a core trait, a core personality of anyone who's on CT, and obviously our entire community. It's kind of what the Rekt guy NFT is built on, right? That's kind of why I created that character. That's the whole idea and concept of that character, the guy who's just constantly degenning, gambling on high stake stuff and losing it all just to make it all back, etc., etc. So that's a core part of our community and identity that I feel like we lost, and we sort of lost that in moving away from Rekt guy, and I hope to bring all of that back too. So we want to bring that back. We want to bring that vibe back. We want to bring that activity back and that community feeling back. Now, listen, right? There's tons of trading groups out there in crypto. There are tons of paid groups, etc. And we can't just make another paid group. Even if people would pay to listen to Mando or myself, I just don't think it's exciting or unique or creative to make just another paid group. So that's not just what this is. And our successes over the last 4 years have been from new things that we've done, things that are creative, things that are unique, and things where people have that feeling inside themselves where they're like, oh, that's cool. Like, I want to do that, or I want to be involved in that. Oh, that's different. I haven't seen that before. Like, we need to recreate something like that, right? So I think one of the biggest problems in the space is, as you all know, is bad actors, right? People will say one thing, then do another. People will laugh about their trades. People will say shit like, oh, I caught the bottom of this, I sold the top of that. And the reality is most people don't really have the balls to publicly display their wallets or show their real risk or show their trades, right? And it's easily possible in crypto. You can do it very easily in crypto because, stuff that's on chain are public wallets and public ledgers. It's actually a bit more difficult to make it available in stocks and in TradFi. So the first part of what we've created here, and let me see if I can get this to display on my screen. I didn't check this beforehand. Where is that screen? Is that this one here? Okay, give me 1 sec while I figure out where to get this. Get the right screen up here. There we go. Oh, not that one. Oh, not that one. Okay, let's just do this for now. Right, hopefully you guys can see that. I'm just trying to center the screen a little bit. This monitor is all the way up there, so sorry for if my head's up here. It's going to hurt my neck, but the other screen wasn't working. But all right, so let's go through what Rekt Mkts actually is. And the first thing is it's a live view of all of my positions and risk and P&L in both crypto and in stocks, right? So the idea is that people will tell you things and they're either lying or making it up or it's not true. And this is all, fully wired in, fully publicly, available right down to the line item of like positions. P&Ls. You know, there are days we'll be up, there are days we'll be down. Fortunately, I've had a bad run for the last few days. Fortunately, we're on a day that I'm actually up. And when I do these streams, obviously you guys see these P&L numbers in the frames of the stream. These are all real numbers. This is all linked and wired up to my risk, and it will update live on stream every time we do these streams. And the streams are, by the way, going to be purely trading focused. So it's not going to be like, I'm not going to interview random people. I'm not going to go through headlines. I'm not going to like do random like sponsored slots. Like, it's all just going to be like, okay, look, we're trading this stuff. We're trading the markets. We're trading crypto. We're trading stocks. We're trading everything. That's what we're going to speak about. I'm going to be speaking about the stuff that I'm doing and the stuff that I'm trading and my thoughts on the market. And that's it. Like, I think one of the reasons why I stopped doing streams, I'm just not a good interviewer of people. I found that stuff kind of boring. I don't, I'm not going to say I don't like listening, because that's obviously a bad trait, but it wasn't the stuff that I was interested in doing. But I love speaking about risk. I love speaking about trades. I love, it's like being back on the trading desk, right? That's kind of what I want to do. So that's what these streams are going to be focused on. Like, cut out all the bullshit and try and talk about things that people actually want to hear. That's the main idea for it. So this is the dashboard. This is the markets.rekt.com website, which has stuff like this. It has all these positions. And it's like a pretty, I'm not just doing a fucking like 10 grand thing, right? The NAV of this book right now is $1.4 million. So it's like, it's pretty legit. Like, it's, I'm doing stuff on decent size. I hope I make money. I mean, I've given back a lot since I started this in May, but it's real. Like, we're not just fucking around with random numbers. It's pretty real stuff. So if I run through this dashboard quickly, so here are this is what I call the live P&L by ticker table. It has all the existing positions. It has my average price. I got into them. It has the last price. It then therefore calculates the market value, the open P&L I have, the all-time P&L. As part of this, you also have historical reports. So, here are all the daily reports. You can like flick through these. Here's what I did in each day. There's a full trade journal as well. So it basically will have every single trade that I've ever done gets logged into this. And again, this is not just on crypto, it's on like real stocks. It's on options. I've done a few things on options, etc. So all that is wired in. It shows you the split of the book. Live trade dashboard here. Here's the portfolio value over all time. And, of course, we have a big Rekt product banner here. And this is the idea, right? This is hopefully all content that I think people in crypto want to consume, just, even outside of our space. Even if people disagree with my trades or whatever, like there are so many people who are trading in crypto and they want to see, I would think they want to see what's going on, even if they disagree with it, or even if they think I'm a bad trader, whatever it is. And I do believe we will get a lot of views on this stuff. And I do believe it will act as a funnel to get more people into the Rekt products. And that's the idea of it. So this is all the live P&L risk positioning stuff. There's another thing we've created here called the terminal. And I think the idea behind this is pretty much every trader is probably now using an LLM to ask questions, do research, figure out positioning, levels, targets, probably doing technical analysis now. And everything, as you guys know, like, you're probably speaking to whether you're using ChatGPT or Claude, or if you have something wired up in OpenClaw, whatever it is, you're using it every single day. And I think what we've done here is I've actually made these terminal logs available to people who have access to this. So every time I ask a question or ask it to do some research, whether it's, hey, what's the accumulation plan? Like, what levels do we want to buy at? Or what's the read through of this that I'm looking at to these stocks? Or, talk to me about Rialto on chain exchange on Robinhood chain. Like, all the stuff that is really things that I'm thinking of get pushed into my LLMs, and they then get published in this website. So we'll have alerts to it on Discord. We could probably get email alerts to it as well. This chart here shows you what the ticker has done since I queried it from the first query, I think. So, obviously memory stocks and stocks are all down quite a bit. Some things are up. Rekt is up. Bitcoin is up. Nice to see. But the real idea behind this is to give is to give you like the best way to put it is to be sort of like a fly in the wall on a real trading desk, right? Like, if I think about when I used to sit on a trading desk and I'd speak to Mando, or even if I speak to Mando now and stuff, we're sharing our positions, we're sharing the levels we bought it at, we're sharing our targets to sell at, we know the sizes, and then we're talking about ideas and thoughts, and does this change our thesis? What's the research behind it? What are the numbers behind it? All these things, and this is typically the sort of stuff that maybe happens in a private group chat of 3 or 4 people, or DMs. In the case of Mando and I, might be our DMs. But this is all stuff people want to get access to, right? Want to see. And I think the idea for this is, okay, let's give a user or a subscriber a fly on the wall perspective of all these things. And I think this is quite a powerful thing where, like, sure, it's not that difficult to create, but it's not really the medium that it's in that's important. It's really like, okay, this is a live look at what's going on in my head or my brain in as real time a way as possible, even if they're not all trades, right? And I think that's the thing that's interesting about this. And again, I don't think this is something that anyone has really done, or none of this is something that anyone's really done or is out there. Live P&L, live risk, live trades, and not only all that stuff, but also live thoughts, live research. And the power of AI is you can produce really high quality stuff as a result of this. And so, right now it's just all my risk, my trades, my stuff, my thoughts. And hopefully we're going to add Mando to it too. And as an extension of this, by the way, like, this is the beginning of this, by the way, right? We're just starting out with this. There's going to be bugs. We're going to iron through things. There's going to be tons of features people will want to have that we're going to build and add to it. But I think an interesting concept for this is like, okay, this is just all my stuff, right? But it could be all Mando stuff. It could be all of another trader's stuff, right? It could be, the whole idea. The idea can get a lot bigger if you see where I'm at. And I think if this is successful, we can actually make it a lot more interesting. So that's the idea behind all this. A couple of other things as well. We have the daily market updates are going to be back. I actually had a lot of readership of that. I had about 2,000 people read this stuff when I used to send it out, and I've stopped sending it out for 2 years when we focused on Rekt. So this is coming back. I've written today's one. It's going to be on the website. It will be in Discord. It will get sent out on email. Obviously, send it out on email. We have another. I looked at the crossover between this and our existing mailing list, and we had like 1,500 more people that we didn't have. Actually, it was more than that. I think it was about another 2,000 people that we didn't have. So, if I include the Rekt Market sign up mailing list, so we now have another 2,000 people who are getting this every day, which they're going to read because they used to be part of a list that they specifically joined to read it from, and then we're going to get Rekt the brand, Rekt the products, Rekt Markets out there in front of another 2,000 people, which I think is pretty big. And the main thing about this is it's consistent. It's really hard to create. We do really well on sales from emails, like those emails that you guys get from Rekt. There's pretty high conversion from that stuff, but I think it's hard to keep it interesting without spamming. And that's the thing about the Rekt products, right? You can't just keep saying, hey, here's Rekt Energy, buy it. Here's Rekt Energy, buy it. Here's a sale, buy it. Like, buy this Rekt hoodie. I think you have to find interesting ways to get people into the brand and then have that as the add-on, which further drives it. And it goes back to the core of like, how did we get to where we are now? How do we know where we had success in building this? And let's get back to that and let's do more of that. So this is the idea behind bringing this back. And I'm going to write, by the way, obviously we're using AI to create a lot of this. I'm going to write this myself. Like, I'm never going to use AI to write this. And obviously that's more valuable to people who read it. I think the main value of it is really for me. Like, I used to write this stuff because when you're trading or when you're working or when I'm doing stuff on Rekt, you're just so in the arena, so to speak. Your head's all over the place. And I always found taking a step back, especially, I used to write it in the mornings, taking a step back to just look at prices, look at what's happened and assess the market and write it out was a really good way for me to put my thoughts together on stuff. And it's not beneficial to me if I just use AI to do that, because then I haven't thought about things, or I haven't used my brain. And that's the idea, to actually use that and make it more of a, bring it back as something that's helpful for me, which then in turn is helpful for everyone else. So that's that. And then, you know, the Discord's going to be back. We're going to revamp the Discord. You're going to see some new channels in there. It's going to be much more active. I'm going to make sure I spend a lot more time there. There's going to be a lot of automated messages that will go in there. But believe it or not, a lot of things are really born from the power of the Discord. And core reason for our success and community has been from a good Discord. And we're going to get that back. We're going to get that stronger. And we now have a good reason and mechanism to do it through. So let's talk about how the stuff is going to work. So some of it's going to be behind a paywall. By the way, the website for this is Mkts markets.rekt.com, and you can check it out and spend some time to read about it yourself. But as I said, like it's you can view it sort of as like our beta product, really, as we figure out how to make something that's useful for people, something that allows us to push the Rekt product and Rekt drinks as much as possible, and it's going to be continued work in progress. So we're going to limit the sign up. It's going to be, like most things, eventually will be a monthly subscription thing, right? And you know, whatever that price is going to be when we figure it out. But what we want to do is we want to get a kind of like a cohort of up to 250 people. Now, I'm just to set expectations. I'm not expecting this thing to sell out on day one or anything like that. That's not the idea of it. The idea of it is to get people on board who are interested to be a part of this. Obviously, people in our community, and you know, hopefully help us build this and grow this to be to fulfill its whole potential. But we're going to limit the initial signups to 250 people, and we're also going to be giving away Rekt coin, which we haven't done in a long time now, to people who sign up. So the way that it will work is it's going to be a one-time annual membership of $799, so just under $800. That works out to about $66 per month. But we're going to be giving away giving away $6.9 billion in Rekt coin, which right now is worth about $835, $840, call it, give or take, depending on the price. And that's not going to come to you straight away. It's going to be vested. So it's going to be a monthly vest over the course of 12 months. And the idea is, obviously, if we give out tons of Rekt, as I spoke about in the streams, if we give out tons of Rekt now, on day one, it creates sell pressure. The market's still not, I think it's getting closer to being ready for it, but it's still not quite there yet. So, and then plus, I think this reward, it gets people in who are long-term supporters of the brand, who want to believe in it, believe in the story, believe in the vision, help us grow, help us build this thing. And that's the reason why it's vested over 12 months. So that's the idea behind this. And you can pay in crypto, you can pay by credit card, you can pay, it's all done through WAP, which you guys maybe have heard of. And that's how, that's sort of like the rails and mechanism by which this works. And this is the difference between what you get and what you don't get. A lot of it is free. So the headline live P&L numbers are free. You can just get that on the website. The daily newsletter that I post will be publicly available to everyone. Various stats will be publicly available on the website. If you just go to the website now and you haven't signed up yet, I see some people are signing up. You'll see what's available. Here's everything that you get for signing up. I'm not going to run through them one by one. I think you guys can read this in your own time, and we're happy to answer questions in the Discord and stuff. But it's still the stuff that you get for it, basically. And yeah, there's a free gift of 6.9 billion Rekt, which comes alongside it, which right now the value of is higher than the cost of the annual membership. So, but just remember that's vested over the course of 12 months, every month, basically. We're also throwing in a 50% voucher on Rekt Energy and merch as well. It's just a one-time little gift for the Rekt store. So that's a nice little thing there as well. So this has information on all the stuff that is available as part of it. The other thing I want to mention here is, so 100% of the net subscription proceeds are going to go towards buying Rekt. So it's important to me that everything that we do pulls in all parts of our ecosystem and creates demand for Rekt coin, because this is the thing that it still underpins our ecosystem, right? And we obviously have buybacks from drinks, but we can't direct 100% of drinks revenues towards buying towards buying the coin, because there's a cost. There's a big cost to manufacturing drinks, to ingredients, to fulfillment, etc., etc. And as you know, drinks is like a super low margin business as well. So we would have to go insane to start creating some high buy pressure for it. And so it got me thinking, what else can we do which is really, really high margin that can allow us to do something like this, but 100% of net subscription proceeds. So I say net because WAP charges a fee. There's sales tax involved depending on your jurisdiction, but everything outside of that stuff will go towards purchasing Rekt. And again, I'm not expecting this to be like we're suddenly purchasing millions of dollars of Rekt, but that money that comes in goes directly towards buying back Rekt. Some of you may be asking, well, you're giving out Rekt, then you're buying back Rekt. Like, what's the point in doing that? Well, I'll say two things to that. The first thing is this Rekt is vested over time, whereas this money is taken in up front. So it will create larger buying pressure day one, basically, T0. And then it then gets the rest of the Rekt gets released over time. I think that's good for taking supply off the market at cheaper prices. And I think it's good for creating activity and volume in the token as well, which is something we definitely need. And the second thing is, remember, not everyone will sell all their Rekt. The reason why this worked really well back in back last year during the bull market is because people would hold on to their Rekt. People would buy drinks, hold on to their Rekt. We then use revenues to purchase Rekt, and we were creating net demand for the Rekt coin. And that's the other objective of this. How do we make this and turn this into net demand for Rekt coin and start taking more supply off the market and just creating more volume, creating more trade, and creating more activity in it, right? Getting more people involved in it. So that's the other thought behind doing that. And I was going to mention one more thing, but I can't remember. So yeah, so when we make the purchases, we will we'll do a post. Hopefully they're going to be more frequent purchases now as this keeps going. So we'll post on the Rekt coin about it, saying this much Rekt has been purchased, etc. And we'll keep that flywheel spinning from that. So I think if this becomes a good product that's successful, and part of that I think is geared towards us finding good trades, finding interesting things where people are like, shit, you have to get involved in the Rekt markets thing. You can do it, you pay whatever it is up front, get back that $6.9 billion in Rekt, knowing that those funds are then going towards purchasing the coin. I think this is set up for quite a strong flywheel if it's successful, while at the same time continuing to produce and create a lot of content where we can start getting the brand and getting the products out there a lot more. Like, we're going to have 5 streams every week. I'll do a daily stream during the week on this. And there's going to be a ton of content that will come out from it. And there's obviously going to be a ton of content that will come out from this website itself, and hopefully a ton of value for people, including our community. So that's it. That's the idea behind it. And I think it's experimental. It's definitely experimental. I haven't read through any of the comments. I'm curious to hear the reception and feedback from people. But what I do think will happen, and this is the main goal for it, is it will keep us relevant, right? It will keep us going. It'll keep us going while maintaining a large degree of attention. And if we have a massive win, or even if we have a massive loss, right, that content gets posted around X, the Rekt brand gets posted around X, the products get posted around, and then we start to grow the brand and revenues and everything from there. So whether it works or not, and things are always experimental with us, we're going to find out. But I have a good feeling about it. But I something for sure is I think we're going to start creating a lot of attention and a lot of visibility for Rekt as a brand, and therefore the token, and therefore the products, on CT and even beyond CT as well. And there's a lot of ideas I have to build this and improve this, and I think we can do it really quickly. Just to put into context, by the way, like I made this entire thing basically over a weekend a couple of weeks ago, and that's how long it took me. It took me like very little time to do it. So I think we can start to ship and make things very interesting, find smarter ways to integrate Rekt products into it, etc., etc. There's a lot of things I think we can do to make it better, and I think the timing for it is perfect. We're right, in my view, we're right at the end of this like bear market phase. We're right at the beginning of this accumulation phase, and I think we're going to see a lot of opportunities come up over the next few weeks and months to come. And generally speaking, like when I haven't traded for a couple of years and just picked the boots back up, but I've generally caught a lot of these things, right? And we're just I think we're at that perfect time in creating this to catch that. So the goal is, I think we start this now. I think we have a very good introductory offer for people to get involved. Oh, by the way, there's also an affiliate scheme as well. So if you signed up and you go into your WAP, you'll see there's a site navigation bar which has affiliates. So I think we'll put a post out on this so it's a bit more clearer, but you can get 10% of every person you refer to it. So, if you refer 8 people, you get the entire cost back. And then there's also a global, so that's for people who have signed up. And then if you haven't signed up, but you want to still try and build up your referral fees from referring people, there's a 5% fee as well. So, if you refer enough people, you can still get the entire thing paid for the year, basically, and then you get the Rekt coin on top of that too. So we'll put a bigger post out on that as well, so people can see it, basically. But that's the idea for that. And I think it's, as I said, I think it's the perfect timing to start this now. It's almost like if we had the perfected product now and we launched it, it would kind of be a waste, because the community, the crypto world is still pretty small. There's lots of people who have left, who are disengaged. But I think this allows us to build something that has a lot of potential throughout this accumulation phase, to the point where, like, when we get back to that point where Bitcoin's above 100K and, all these coins and meme coins are going to the billions of dollars again. Everyone's like, new people come back into this industry and they're like, where do I go? How do I learn stuff? This becomes an option for them. And we get more people into the brand, we get more people into the products, and I think we grow the brand altogether. I think the thing to remember about Rekt is we're not just a standalone CPG brand. It never started as a standalone CPG brand. The whole idea of Rekt Drinks was, how do we get this Rekt brand out there in as many places as possible, right, in the physical world? And we've done a really good job at that. And we will continue to grow that. That's still going to grow. It's still going to be there. But how do we take it to the next level by adding another dimension to it, to a very targeted audience that we know and have the data on, which is our customer base and our community and our ecosystem? And I think this is going to allow us to do that in a very organic way. So that's the entire thing. Going forwards, I just wanted to introduce the whole thing. Going forwards, the Rekt Weekly will be replaced by these streams. So maybe what I'll do is, like, one of the days a week, I'll focus a bit more on how stuff's going with Rekt. But generally, these streams are going to be very trading, market focused, and I want to do it in this. This is only going to work if I do it in a way where I find it interesting, and I find it appealing, and I find it useful for me. And I don't watch podcasts or streams. I don't read very much. I've started reading a lot more, actually. Actually, I do read a lot, but I just have a low attention span. Sometimes I find that I need information given to me in a way that I can process it quickly and have a clear action point from it, rather than a lot of fluff and faff and, all that kind of stuff, right? And the way I want to run these streams is basically just be like, okay, this is exactly how I would behave on a trading desk. This is exactly how I would run through my risk if I was speaking to Mando, or if I was speaking to my boss, and run through what I'm thinking and the ideas. Like, that's the idea for it, rather than just all this like fluff and faff and the reasons why I don't watch any streams or podcasts. So that's the main idea for it. And that's going to be a work in progress, and let's see how it goes. I don't know. I haven't done that. I haven't done these kind of streams for a while, so we'll have to figure it out. But I think we can make it interesting. We can make it good. And, we've got all this stuff up here on the live stream. You'll see my live P&L when we do the streams. We'll have the Rekt.com ads in the back. When we launch new products, we'll have there as well. I've even put my Whoop stats up on here as well, so you can see that every day. That's actually like using the Whoop API that gets plugged into this. So I think there's lots of interesting things we can do. And this whole stream I also built with AI in a couple of hours, and hopefully it's something that's a bit unique and different to all these other streams out there. So that's the idea behind it. So we have about 10 minutes left. I'm going to try and run through. Hopefully some of you guys have asked questions. I do see them. So I'm going to run through some of these questions and comments on this, and then we'll end on the hour. And if you guys have more comments, thoughts, feedback, hit us up in the Discord. I'll be back again tomorrow to stream. We'll spend more of tomorrow. We'll spend some of tomorrow maybe addressing questions and stuff, and then we'll spend more of tomorrow talking about the trades that I have on the risk, what I think of markets, etc., etc. I think there's some interesting. I do think there's some interesting opportunities out there. Something I do really believe, by the way, and really, really, really strongly feel about is this is the best time to make sure you're dialed into what's going on in crypto and what's going on in markets, because this is where you get a sense of the narratives that start to form for the next bull run. Like, this is how you get to buy things early at a cheap price. These are the times where, when you it's a bull market and you see something that's up 20x, and you're like, oh man, I really wish I bought that there. It was so obvious I would have done that for sure, but I wasn't around then. Like, this is the time where you are around now, and it's definitely time to lock in. And even if it's not, I'm not saying you should trade every day, and I'm definitely not going to be trading every day, but it's definitely the time to be on top of narratives. And that's my goal with this. I want to be on top of every single narrative that comes out and speak about it. And we'll speak about it in more depth on the Discord. And obviously you have to give some value to the pro subscription. So that's where most of it will go, but we'll also speak about it on these streams and make it publicly available as well. So that's, I just really, really believe that you're going to see more people make a shitload of money over the next 18 months. You're already starting to see it. There are coins out there that have gone up 100x that have been liquid enough to buy and sell, and you could have caught them, right? Like, those are signs these types of markets are coming back, and I want to make sure that I want to make sure that I'm part of it, and I want to make sure there's a community around me that's part of it, and I just want to do it a bit more publicly, and rather than just it being a benefit for me, being a benefit for the entire Rekt ecosystem. And let's say I do really well and I make loads of money. I think that's really good for the Rekt brand. It's obviously good for subscriptions. It's going to be good for revenue. It's going to be good for buying back the token. But it associates the brand with that level of success. And I think that's the interesting thing that we want to dial in. So sorry, I keep blabbing on. Let me go through questions. If you have them, ask them now. But as I said, the stream's a bit delayed. I'll try and fix that. But I'll see if I can go through questions. Appreciate the comments on the hair. I see someone asked about prediction markets. I hope it's clear now. This is not a prediction market. It's not a competitor. It's not a direct competitor to anything. I believe, in my opinion, and I didn't want to make a competitor for anything, because otherwise you're just going into a saturated market. I wanted to make something different, and I think this is different. Like I said, there isn't anything else out there that's like this, and we have more features that we're going to add. So the idea, it has to be unique, it has to be different, and the real selling point of this will be word of mouth. If people subscribe and they find it really useful and they say, hey, you should get onto it, that's when we start to do really well. So it's not a prediction market, obviously not, therefore not a competitor to Myriad. Let's see, questions. Do you think you can teach me how to trade profitably? Look, the other goal for this is not for people to just blindly copy trade what I'm doing. I will lose money. I will make money. Sometimes I do crazy degenerate things where I've lost a lot of money. We all know that, right? And I had a really good start. Gave back a lot of P&L over the last few days. So I don't really want people to copy trade me. That's not necessarily the idea. The idea is you get to see everything I'm doing, and you get to use that as a data point, that transparency as a data point to make your own decisions. And that's something I think people want and wish for. You see all these big crypto accounts on X posting about their trades and, I caught this 100x, etc. And you're just, the average person is sitting there thinking like, fuck, well, either they're LARPing, which is often the case, or, I never got to, figure out what it was, or never got to find out the thought process behind it, etc., etc. So, my main thought and concept of this was like, let's make this as if you're actually part of the trading desk. You get to see things in real motion in a transparent format, from risk, P&L, trades, thoughts, and also to thoughts through the terminal thing that we've built. And it gives you a different experience to just being part of a pay group and seeing posts. And obviously a lot of pay groups are the people who are running them just taking paid deals and dumping on them people as well. And as I hope you guys realize by now, that's definitely not something that I would ever do or have any interest in doing. So Tagi asks, is this a reboot of DGen's app? It's not. Hopefully you realize that's also quite different too. Fictional, the Discord used to be great. Agreed. Let's make the Discord great again. Ms. Hennessy asks, is it an $800 payment? Yeah, so once it's a bit more built out, we'll have a monthly payment option too. But the initial thing is just going to be 250 spots. That will result in an annual subscription, a one-off annual subscription. So that works out as about $66 a month. And then there's 6.9 billion Rekt coin that you will get in addition to that, which will vest every month. So it will get put into a vesting contract, and it will start to vest every month, basically. So that's how that will work. And we've called it like the 250 founding members. So hopefully everyone will be able to help us build this. By the way, if you're in a trillion Rekt coin, if you're a Rekt trillionaire, this entire thing is free, and you can actually either reach out to Tabs and I, and we can set that up for you, or you can verify your wallet. And if you're an anonymous trillionaire, you can verify your wallet and get that set up too. And Delegate is supported as well. Does anyone else think that I look like an Indian Chris Isaac? I don't know who Chris Isaac is. Should we have a look? Who's Chris Isaac? I'll take that. He's a very good looking guy. I don't know if I guess I kind of look like him. Sort of got the nose. But yeah, I'll take that. I appreciate that comment.